see you guys here. Well, let's kick this off because we are recording. So this will be dropped into the Design Hounds Facebook group. Once again, you guys already know the drill around Design Hounds Talks, but this is exclusive conversations with industry insiders and business experts and wellness experts and all kinds of really, really smart people that we're making exclusively available to the Design Hounds group. So if you guys are not in the Design Hounds group, well, you won't be watching this, but when you have other designers that are interested in learning more about what we're doing and what Design Hounds Talks is all about and learning some of this, it is a monthly program and it is only available to our group of vetted Design Hounds. That's because you guys are special. So, and today I get to have a really, man, been thinking about this one long and hard. You guys actually requested conversations around wealth building and financial management of your design firms and also your personal lives, also retirement planning and all these topics a number of times. And I personally, it's probably one of my personal biggest challenges is to turn off the creative and turn on the strategy and the business think, especially when I don't really want to lose sight of the creative side of who I am. In my world, I do both, but it is difficult to kind of switch back and forth. And so I've invited my very good friend, Ann Dowers, in today, who is the VP of the regional VP of Primerica Advisors, and she's down in Greenville, South Carolina. But Karen, tell us a little bit more about yourself, do a little intro, but also can people from anywhere in the country work with you in South Carolina, or how does that work?
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you, Veronika. I am thrilled to have this opportunity. I'm really enjoying getting to know Veronika and her family better. I was telling her very much a contrast today because tonight I'm doing a live event for a bunch of engineers, and that, trust me, that's hurting my brain way more than this is. This is super fun for me. I actually am a creative. I dabble in painting and music, but more importantly for you all, I take a very creative approach to how I help people solve problems. And to me, it is very much a piece of art to me, because I can see things that other people can't see, and I can strategize and I can help them create new scenarios and possibilities. But I got into the business because I had lost a design company. I owned a women's clothing design manufacturing company in the early 90s, and we had a design staff. Our head artist was an artist from Hallmark. We had 40 employees. I had 600 reps that sold for me, and we were incredibly unsuccessful. We were not doing well financially. We weren't business people in this we weren't manufacturing experts. We just wanted to get into business in this creative world. We were rescued by a natural disaster called the Great Flood. I seem to like natural disasters seem to like show up
where I
go, Veronika. But the good news of it was we had a somewhat of a graceful exit because we weren't in a flood zone, so we didn't have flood insurance. So we were able to shut the whole thing down. Now we had a huge devastating amount of debt, legal issues, et cetera, getting out of leases. But that's where the company found me as a new career path. But I knew of these concepts because the company had talked to me when I first got married in '86 and taught me some things about money that like marked me. I was like, how do people not learn this in school? Parents, I knew my parents immediately. I'm like, and my parents are smart people, successful people. I'm like, I know my parents don't know any of this because they're good people. They would have talked to me about this if they knew. So clearly they don't know. And I was a nurse. My first career, I was a registered nurse. I started talking about to my doctor friends, my nurse friends. I'm like, oh my gosh, do you have an IRA? Do you know about mutual funds? Do you have a will? Do you have like all these things? And I just became this like mouthpiece. I wasn't working for the company, but when it came around as a career after I'd shut down a company and was starting over, I was like, okay, people need help in this areas. They need the relationship of a warm, caring steward, somebody that can relate to maybe where they've been. Hopefully nobody's been as devastated as we were financially. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, right? But the power of the restart was very important for me because I was able to get a vision for what I wanted to reinvent for myself financially. And now I was getting the skills to actually know how to do that. So I have a lot of empathy for small business people and people that have been through any kind of downturn, emotionally, financially, business downturn, because I know there's a way out of it. There's a way up. So that's just a little bit about me.
And that's one of the things, right? I think it's so easy, especially when you are in a creative industry, whether it's design or really any other industry. If your focus in order to earn your living can and should always be the creative visions, that gets forgotten a lot. I do a lot of preaching around the fact that we tend to sometimes get too transactional and worry about, sourcing and purchasing and project management and all of that, and already tend to lose a little bit of the real reason why we're doing what we're doing. But also we're challenged into a position. I know this coming out of design school, so many people did not want to hear about the business of design. They just wanted to really focus on making pretty things happen. And that's wonderful. We need both. And for a creative person, for me, it really is, it's like pulling teeth. It's and you know this because we're talking about my own situation, and it is something that is always secondary on and not on my radar unless I really am forced to put it there. And I almost feel like I'm failing, like it makes me feel shameful. It makes me feel bad, like I'm not doing enough of the business of and just focusing on creative events and creative solutions. So there are these two warring sides in some of us. Other guys in the room will probably look at this and go, no, I totally got this down. So is there a good management tactic before we even talk about the nuts and bolts of some of your recommendations and things people really absolutely kind of should have and must have? But just a thought process that you can adopt to kind of say, set aside one day a week or any things that come to mind around just making a big divide.
Yeah, for sure. Well, first, I just, to you, Veronika, and to your credit, you are a deep well of experience and life journey that, I wholeheartly believe that everything you or anybody else needs or I need is available somewhere. It's just the art of finding it, right? And Veronika knows this. I just got back from Romania and Hungary and Italy, but we were helping at an orphan school, and they needed a seamstress. I am such I don't even know if you can say I'm a seamstress. I can make curtains, and that's what they needed. But they didn't have a sewing machine. So they started asking around, does anybody have a sewing machine we can borrow? And their staff member, everybody's like, no, we don't have a sewing machine. And one of the directors, a lovely Romanian man, he and his wife he serves and she leads the kitchen. I'm going to be introducing Veronika to her, but they were at their home. He was looking for like a plumbing tool, something he needed for the orphan school. And he's in a closet pulling stuff out. And on the shelf, he finds a brand new sewing machine in the box that someone had given them. And so my point is, whatever you're looking for, whatever you need right now, it's there. It's closer than you think, more available than you think, and it may be exactly what we're talking about today. And so, this mindset is, and it's not unlike any other mindset you have in your success journey of running your company, is having an open mind, open to learning. That was one of my biggest values is I want to learn for myself. Not that not that the creatives on this call have to know everything about a portfolio or the alpha or the beta. You don't have to go that deep, but as an idea, being open to learning, educating yourself, becoming more aware of what's possible for you. Think about this. money is, lives in currency. Currency, the root word of that is current. Like it's always moving, it's always doing something.
Yeah.
So how much, so obviously you want that current working with you and for you, the psychological, emotional aspects of how you react to money, right?
Mhm.
You want that to live in a healthy place in your psyche. And if it's not healthy, then there's ways you can improve that. One is just like getting unstuck, like taking some kind of positive action. And that may be, setting a goal for this year that you're going to have some specifics for you that you want to accomplish this year financially.
Yeah.
Maybe it's being more prepared for taxes. Maybe it's getting on track for your retirement. Maybe it's having a plan to eliminate debt, consumer debt, not, necessarily business debt, but could be that too.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's sometimes I think, especially the big R word, retirement. Again, if you're somebody that's kind of struggling with the concept around really building wealth and focusing on finance and money, then some of us as we get older, we think, well, now it's just too late. So now what? Now I can't do it.
Yeah.
And I know you
Oh
have
my
something to
gosh.
say about that.
Yeah, I actually wrote that down for you all earlier, that no financial issue or mistake in your past is too big to have an actionable solution. And trust me, I've been here, this is my 30th year. I have seen some things happen to people.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's nothing too big, too vast, too devastating to get a reset and be able to move into actionable solutions.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about some of those actionable solutions. Big word. What are some of the things that people should absolutely, no matter who they are or where they're at, no matter if they have a one-person business or sole proprietorship, big corporation, what are some of the things that everybody really should have in place right now with the market being the way it is?
Yeah. Well, as you know, not as necessarily a product or a solution, but as a concept to start with. Because most people, Veronika, have never met anyone like us that has the knowledge and the access and the resources to the whole big universe of money. The industry itself is very fragmented. Like, talk to us about, insurance, talk to us about investments, talk to us about mortgages. And it's very fragmented, it's very commission driven. And entity A doesn't really care what entity B does because they don't do it and they don't get paid. So it is obviously, it's like going to an integrative health doctor, integrative medicine, which I have a high value for because I was a nurse, is that I want somebody to look at me as a person, all my systems, all of them. I want you to look at all of them. And that's what I do. And so I start with everybody, Veronika, in terms of I help them figure out, what is your financial independence number? What's the number that you need to hit at a certain age? When you love what you do, like I do, that might be 70. I don't know, but you can figure that out. What's the exact amount of money you need at that certain age to have a certain lifestyle and not run out of money? And the cool thing about how money works is that it actually will do that for you.
Right.
And people go, oh, it's too late for me. I'm in my 50s. It's too late for me. I'm in my 60s. No, it's absolutely not too late. And so we identified that number, and let's just say that number is $2 million. Okay, now we have something we can aim at, we can measure, we can regroup as things change. Profits go up and down, economies go up and down. We can regroup, refocus, re-aim, and execute, right? But now we have something that it's like, oh, I made 14% year to date on my money. What does that mean?
Mhm.
By the same token, the market's down, my money went down 8%. What does that mean? Well, in light of our plan of you hitting your financial independence number, it's actually expected and we plan for that.
Yeah. Okay. So let's say I'm at zero. I got nothing. Maybe I have a little bit of debt, some credit card stuff, a business loan or line of credit. Other than that, I got nothing. So let's start in that square one. That might be
Yep.
redundant for some people, got to start
Yeah.
somewhere. What is the first step that people can take? Sort of the low hanging fruit.
Yeah. Well, the low hanging fruit is get a vision of what you want and get a plan for that. That usually works best with some partnership, a financial coach helping you have those conversations of not only where you want to go, but just what's the cold hard truth of where you are right now. And it's kind of like a little bit going to the doctor. You have to get naked, for a little bit to just get honest. But like I've seen so many scenarios. I mean, so many situations, like nothing scares me, nothing's gonna offend or put me off, or I'm like, oh, I can't even work with this situation. That's just not gonna happen. So let's take any shame, blame, regret, procrastination based on those things. Let's just take that out of the conversation, right?
Guilt for buying too much art, things like that.
No, not at all.
All right, good.
Not at all.
I'll bury that sense then.
As long as you got it at a really good deal, then I'm super excited for you.
Yeah.
If you overpaid for it, then let's just do better next time, right? Yeah, that's it.
Deal. So, okay, so I've got my assessment. I'm doing my lab work for my doctor, if we're going to stay with that analogy.
Yes.
We're going to take stock, we're going to look at everything we got, and then we're going to set some goals, some where I want to be in weight and in all the rest of those values that I've just uncovered.
Yes. So
go ahead. And I know you have a presentation, so you feel free to share anytime you want.
Sure. Well, I know you asked me a bit about the technology. One of your questions probably coming up a little bit later, but part of why people don't take these action steps is kind of the dread, the fear. Oh my gosh, I got to pull out all these, statements. I got to find this old 401k, and I have no idea where my insurance policies are. I have no idea what my deductibles are on my home, my auto, right? So it just is like, it's just kind of seems big and painful. So through some incredible financial technology, Veronika, called $B Smart, I was part of their beta test. And incidentally, this was right before COVID, when most of our businesses were kind of regional. I mean, we had clients that moved around the country, but it was kind of regional. We kind of met in person. We didn't do what we're doing right now. Thankfully, I was part of the beta test. And what it allowed us to do is, in a very efficient, painless way, literally in less than 5 to 8 minutes, identify everything that you qualify for based on your tax filing status, employees or no employees, debt or no debt, corporation or not incorporated. It uses these amazing matrices and back channel things to analyze it, and it identifies right now what you are actually eligible for based on your situation. Some of them will be priorities now, some of them will never be priorities, and some will be priorities later. And so what I do is I help you organize those most important things to you, and we start with those.
Okay. And when you say eligible for, what's an example for that?
So an example would be if you are, you have 2 W-2 employees, you're eligible for a 401k, just like GE has, or just like BMW has, right? To have a way to build your wealth for retirement, and also have a way to attract and retain employees. If you have 0 employees, you're eligible for what's called a solo 401k, right? If you're just on ramping and you haven't been investing, and you make depending on your marital status, single or married, has head of household, you're eligible for a Roth IRA. So we look and see what are you actually eligible for right now, and then I help you sift and sort based on your objectives to get the most strategic approach. And as a fiduciary, and I do work in all 50 states, Veronika, I am a fiduciary. You may hear that word. All it means is I have a legal precedent, a legal agreement with Primerica Advisors to find the best strategies, the most efficient, and the most suitable strategies based on your unique situation.
Okay.
And then to watch and steward that plan and interact with you and in giving ongoing advice.
So you give the advice and you help strategize over taking my current pulse, setting a vision and a set of goals for where I want to go, looking at some of what I'm immediately qualified for. Moving through that, do you then also help set this up? At what point do you turn this over? Do you then turn it over to a CPA or other financial team members for that particular design firm, or do you just manage that internally?
Well, we have incredible partnerships. And that world of partnerships is brands that you all know, that you see advertise. Our firm, Primerica Advisors, may not be a brand because we don't advertise in the traditional way. It's like this, word of mouth, and people going, oh, you got to meet my friend Kara. We have 7 million clients. We're a publicly traded company. We have 6,300 offices in the US and Canada, and we have the largest group of advisors in the country, the largest group of advisors, but yet we don't advertise in the traditional way. So we can create better value and we can pay our people more. So that's brilliant in itself. But what it does, Veronika, we have these major partnerships with, and I'll just talk about 401ks because probably a lot of people on the call are thinking about retirement planning. We can set that up through, Fidelity, Voya, AXA, July Services. Those are 401k companies. Inside those, I help pick the investment platforms, the mutual funds, the money managers, the index funds that would go inside that 401k. So those are all partnerships with great companies that you do know and see, and maybe even done business with before. But I am that middle person that helps you identify what you're aiming at. And I go into the marketplace as your fiduciary to find the most simple and optimized recommendations to get you to your goal. And we're not married to any of those people. We can fire a money manager. Now, typically I have, 2 to 3 money managers inside one account, because there's different strategies and there's different philosophies, and nobody gets it right every time in every market. So we want to diversify our way of thinking and who we bring to the table to help you, that's actually doing the buying, selling, trading, holding. That's not me. I'm watching it. I'm helping you partner with them. And incidentally, Veronika, the institutional money managers I work with, is that you can't get there with Ameriprise or Edward Jones or even Merrill Lynch. And if you're an individual, you'd have to have $1 million to $5 million to walk in the door. Through my partnerships, because of who we are as a financial services marketing company, I can get somebody there with as little as $25,000. Now, don't focus on that. I can help somebody start a Roth IRA with $100 a month. I can start a 401k for your company. You don't have to put any money in it. So you get to the end of the year with your CPA, and then with your CPA, Veronika, I talk to CPAs all day, not every day, but usually a couple times a week. I'm talking to one of my client CPAs, especially around either, April, prior to April 15th or prior to October 15th, if you operate on an extension, because you can go all the way to tax filing deadline with extension and put money in for last year, for example. And so pay Uncle Sam or pay Paige, which is better? Paige every time, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's the kind of thing to know. And I think for me personally, again, as somebody who's just so, and all my people know that's kind of how I'm so not money wired. I just go and work and do what I'm passionate about and care about. And that brings with it that money. So it works for me as far as making it, because I'm I kind of am my own Pied Piper, so I'm going, I have a vision, whether it's on the design side. In my world, it's the marketing side or the event management side. And then we have a great idea and we run there, and money has a tendency to follow that. I think that's the nature of this fickle mistress, is the more you chase her, the more she's not interested in you. And the more we focus on, I have to make X dollars this month in order to pay for this, and that, the less likely we are to get there, is at least my philosophy. I think it really works better the other way, is having a little bit of an arrogant position is a bit of a love affair, to where you say, yeah, well, I'm going here and this is who I am. But at the same time, I can see where creatives then want somebody to kind of have their back. And I'm thinking, coming out of the conversations that you and I have had, I think that is what needs to happen, and people should feel good about that happening, is that they don't have to micromanage this process, the watching of these investments, knowing what's what, reading these reports, understanding, yes, what they mean, but not having to manage them. Am I getting that right? Is that where you come in with your team?
Yeah, I would call it like a high level of management, and that with any, business leader, at some point you want to get to the point where you're not doing the books and cleaning the toilets and overseeing every purchase. And in the beginning, we all did all of that right? That's what we do to start up a business. And so what you're doing is you are professionally delegating things that that are not your area of expertise and shouldn't be the area of your focus, because you are involved with designing and marketing and branding, right? So it is really this, very simply brilliant partnership idea to delegate and optimize your efforts, your energies, to take, it could be a little bit, just starting out with a little bit of strategy to get you on ramped. And it's like a muscle, it builds, you get more comfortable, and you're like, yeah, I did this thing that Kara told me to do. And then my CPA said it saved me $8,000 in taxes this year, right? Like, let's spin and repeat that.
So help me do a little bit of a straw man. Let's say I am a single partner LLC, kind of a middle of the road company. I've got 4 employees, and right now I'm doing nothing for that business. Of course, that revenue comes through to me personally because I'm a single partner LLC. First of all, is that advisable? I know, knowing you're not a CPA, I get that. But what are some of the programs that and I'm making money, I'm doing well, money's coming in. What do I do?
Okay, I am going to show you a picture now. So this is for you all, and isn't that a beautiful face? I love Veronica's this picture of her. So and then of course your why, this is why I do it. I've got 4 kids, no grandkids yet, an amazing partner. I'm looking forward to so we talked about, the outcomes, gain the knowledge, apply the changes, right? Make those brave steps, share it, maybe change somebody else's lives, like your kids, your sister, your mom, right? Help people connect with things that are good for them. And then at some point, schedule a conversation with us or with someone in your life that you can navigate these things. So, specifically to retirement, Veronika, this is just like a little, flow chart. Like, do you have employees or no employees? And we're going to filter this through. Who can contribute to your employees' accounts? The employees or just you? Right? What's most important to you? Low plan cost, higher contribution. Maybe you're really killing it. You had a huge year and you're looking at a huge tax bill, right? You need a higher contribution limit than what you can just put into a traditional IRA. Or maybe you don't want to contribute for anybody, but you want you and your employees to be able to just automatically contribute to their own account automatically through payroll. That's called a payroll deduction plan. It costs nothing. And you can put money into a savings account, a checking account, or an IRA or a college fund automatically through the payroll. You know, do you want higher contribution limits, low playing cost, easier admin, SEP IRA, that's, or an individual 401k. So these are kind of things that I go through with you. You don't even have to be incorporated to be
Okay.
eligible for these things. You could be a sole proprietor and have everything that's on the screen. Now, am I going to help you probably explore, if you're not incorporated yet, to incorporate from a liability standpoint, from a tax standpoint? Yes. But you don't have to do that to start taking these action steps.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Cool. That's very interesting slide. And I know, you know, guys, I know people will usually take pictures of slides, but this will also be in the Design Hounds Facebook group later on for viewing in perpetuity. So, you know, we will have that in place. I think that kind of helps me. Now, what happens? You touched on that a little bit. What happens when things aren't going right? I'm feeling like I'm not in control. I'm feeling like some of this stuff. Can I come to you and feel good about it? I mean, you're going to say yes, but what's the reality of that? You know, where I say, you know, I got my husband or my neighbor, and they're doing so much better with their portfolio. How can people change that, and who helps them navigate what it takes to do that? How can we make that less daunting for people?
Yeah. Well, really my niche in the market, Veronika, is that in the world that we're in today, the big wirehouse firms that advertise, you know, I hate to pick on, you know, a name, but just picture one of those big companies you see advertised. They have moved farther and farther away from the small business owner.
Yeah.
If you don't have $250,000 to $500,000 minimum, you get a robo advisor, you get an 800 number. And if there is somebody that is wanting to help you because it's your family member, they don't get paid commission at all to help you. So we're started by school teachers. Told you I was a nurse. I love to help people learn how to build wealth. I love to see people excelling. And so our niche has always been small business owners and middle income investors. Now, I have clients now that are very wealthy. Guess why? Because they've been with me 30 years. That's why. None of my clients showed up to me wealthy. They all, now, if you are that, I'm happy to talk to you too.
Yeah,
right?
Somewhere.
I'm equal opportunity, but my niche has been and will remain helping small business owners learn how to build wealth for themselves and minimize their taxes. And so the beauty of that is, and I'm a point, and Veronika, I've talked about, I'm a point in my business. I only work with people that are fun, that are ready. I'm not in the convincing business. Not my job to convince anybody that they need a game plan, right? But people that are ready when they come to me, I answer my cell phone. I return emails. You can talk to me. Yeah.
You said that to me about the CPA because I told you I had some nightmare stories, and it never occurred to me. It does now, but it took me a long time to understand that even as we interview the local people, the people in our local market that we can turn to for tax advice and all of that, even our lawyers, you know, that they're not always a good fit. Just hiring somebody because they're I think that there needs to be that understanding of the very specific need of a creative small business. Would you agree? And I think that goes all the way to the investment side too.
Absolutely. Nobody knows your business as well as you do, period. And you know, and Veronika, I've talked about this. There's parts of her business that are unique to her business model that she has that her CPA is just not understanding. And I'm like, you got to get rid of this person. Like if somebody they're trying to fit you into their box, that's a red flag. No, you're the service professional. I need you to fit into my box.
Yeah. Right? That's a good line. I think that's really important. And I don't know that people always know to think that way. So
well, I think it's because they don't know enough to articulate that I don't know how to say it, but I feel it. You don't know what the heck you're talking about with my situation. And I want to get rid of you. I mean, I fired a doctor that was letting my father-in-law die years ago. Cardiologist, big name, family friend. It was like the most controversial thing for me to fire this cardiologist. But you know what? He was killing my father-in-law. And 24 hours later, with the new doctor, my father-in-law had a heart transplant and lived another 15 years. So you know what? Be bold. Go off your gut. You don't even have to have words to articulate why something's not working. And if you can't resolve it in a way that you feel good about, cut bait and move on, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I love hearing that. What's some of the biggest mistakes you see people making?
Procrastination, keep running away from the problem. Continuing in relationships, advisors that are not moving the ball for you. Sometimes people they do get lazy and they're out chasing the new business and they forget about their clients. My clients send me the new clients. I'm never chasing business. Right. And so, and I think that taking your financial advice from TikTok, there's so much like, okay, if you hear on TikTok, somebody saying to take equity out of your house or take your retirement plan and put it into this thing that you'll never pay taxes on, it's a lie. It's immoral. And it's bordering on illegal, but not quite illegal. They've used loopholes in the insurance law. You guys, that's a bad idea. Please tell your friends to not do that. Okay.
So no financial advice on TikTok. Man, I thought I had it going on there. Now I'm gonna have to stop that too. This is gonna stay not
see
going
what's
well.
Funny, Veronika, I've been here long enough. It's, you know, it's the same song, second, third, fourth. When I came into the industry, there was massive class action lawsuits against companies we all know: Prudential, MetLife, New York Life, John Hancock, Northwestern Mutual. Class action lawsuits for lying to people about insurance. And you know what they're doing? They're spinning that same song over and again because people don't know and people have a need and they're like, well, that sounds easy. That kind of sounds okay. And it's not. You need an actual professional advice. They get people to cancel their investment licenses and just do what they're doing with an insurance license. They don't answer to FINRA or SEC. I answer to FINRA and SEC, right? Yeah.
Let me ask you a blunt question. How do you earn your money? If I come to you, am I paying you? Is there a consulting fee, or do you take it out of gains, or how does that work?
Great question. So I do a lot of things, so I get paid a lot of different ways. Like it's a small thing, but I'm a mortgage branch. We actually do mortgages. Now, I don't personally do those, but I have mortgage, right? So I want you to think about, you know, there's all these different types of financial relationships and transactions you make, from paying your car insurance to paying your, you know, your mortgage payment, to your insurance products, your investment products. We are involved in all of those at the same time. So how we get paid is just like you know, the traditional industry gets paid, but most of them don't do all the things. Now, to talk to us, you never write me a check personally. I don't send you a bill. If I can help you move from company A to company B, I get paid, but you don't write the check, right? Because I'm bringing business, let's say from, not to pick on a company, but I've moved a lot of money from Edward Jones this year. Edward Jones, you move that portfolio to us, you are paying Edward Jones through a asset fee. And if you moved it to us, it's because we had better service model, better rate of return, less risk, and a commensurate pricing model, right? That's the only reason you would move your money.
Right.
And so we get paid through the transactions.
Got it.
Now, as I am licensed to charge you an hourly fee, but that's not how my firm works. Because again, we're mainly geared to small business owners and middle income investors.
However, if I wanted to kind of maybe even figure it out for myself, or maybe even already feel good about where I'm at, those of us that are very savvy, but want you to take a look at what I'm doing and help me streamline that and perhaps improve it, could I come to you and say, you know, can I pay you to consult on this? Is that a possibility?
Well, you wouldn't pay me to do that. That's just called a second opinion.
Okay.
And I would offer you my second opinion. And, the thing about investments, debt, it's numbers, it's measurable. We measure risk, we measure cost, we measure return. I can measure it and say, this is where you are, and this is what you have, and this is what's doing, and this is what I would recommend. And this is better because of this, and this.
So to recap, we need to take our lab test and check our
You
pulse.
got to pee in the cup. Just pee in the cup.
Gotta pee in the cup. Okay. We're going to pee in the cup. We're going to get all those lab values. We're going to look at all the good, bad, and ugly. We're then going to say, okay, how can we fix the ugly and how can we make the good better?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And what is that goal, and do you create a timeline for people to think about, to kind of create their comfort zone on how to kind of tackle that stuff?
Yeah, for most people, there are one or two very pressing concerns or items on their front of their list, and we'll tackle those and get them resolved or get them streamlined and get them working, and then prioritize the other things. And some of those things will line up with like tax filing deadlines. And if you want to start a 401k this year, we need to start it by mid-October to early November to get it executed in time for this tax year. And then you don't have to put any money in it till you're ready to put money in it next year when you figure out what your CPA tells you you're going to owe in taxes or not. Right. So it's just, some of these things are very forward in that they're big ideas that get you moving, but they're very tiny in terms of like what it's really going to be on a month-to-month basis to actually start.
Got it. Okay. So we are going to drop your contact information into our groups. I know I'm trying to wrap up, but I also want to make sure that we covered everything that you wanted to get to, Kara.
Yeah, I think so. I just love being a resource. I love creatives. I love the just the honest and innocent questions of here's where I'm at, here's where I want to be, what's possible for me. And then I'm gonna say, well, let's start dreaming again. What have you kind of parked? What have you sidelined because you didn't think it was possible because of the money part? Let's get those things back on the table and breathe some new life into those things. Because what's going to happen is your creative energy is going to open up over getting your finances moving in the right direction. It's going to make you feel better about everything. Yeah.
I would agree. It's very, very interesting for me to think like that, and in theory, it's always clear, but I do think it's incredibly empowering to really think through, and not just in terms of our personal retirement and personal wealth, but also in terms of where our companies can go. And it feels to me that one can inform the other, to allow us to see the bigger picture, right? That
absolutely.
Sometimes we're locked down.
And what I'll do is I'll just put my cell phone in the chat because you can text me, call me. That's what we do.
Yeah. And we'll drop all of your contact information, website, everything else. Florence will get that from you and pop that into our Facebook group. Again, thanks everybody for hanging out with us today. I have no idea what we're talking about next month. Normally I like to preview that, but I can't remember. And I'm going to Istanbul tomorrow. So I'm just gonna peace out for the next week. So if you guys need any tips on Istanbul, that'll be on everybody else's agenda. And I'll be reporting back live from there. And but in the meantime, Kara, I thank you so much. We will pop, like I said, all your contact info into the Facebook group. This recording, Florence will have that ready a little bit later today. If not today, then tomorrow, and it'll live in perpetuity so people can tap into that. And you know what, if we could get that slide from you,
sure,
that single slide, that would be amazing, because then I'll pop that into the associated post as well.
Absolutely, happy to do it. Yeah, thank you all so much.
Thank you so much for spending some time with me, Karen.
Yeah, absolutely. See you soon. Take care.